And I just wanted to, take you on a tour of another dealership. So, this is kind of the same setup. They have a used car area where there's different vehicles, scattered around. And really, one part that I didn't cover at the other dealership is walking around the dealership. It gives you a feel of what, you can expect to pay. If you're in the same town, you're going to dealerships in the same town. Things may vary if you go from city to city. Cars may be a little cheaper in one city for whatever reason, but especially if the income level is higher in those cities, you might not see as many discounts or sales because people can afford to, forego those or do without them. But you can get a feel of what you can get for your money. And you can do that online, but the plus about coming to a dealership is you get to see the size, again, and the footprint, and kind of some of the features and things that you may not be able to, get a feel for, through a camera lens. You will see that a lot at dealerships where you don't see prices on the vehicle. They want you to kind of go in, grab a salesman. Hey, what's this vehicle going for? And most dealerships are like that. Obviously, that other one, was a little bit different. It's kind of a game. But at this dealership, really, I could go online and see what they're asking for on this vehicle. Okay, so here you have a 2012, Ford Escape. And let's just say they wanted $12,000 for this car. And then you come over here and say you have a slightly larger, Chevy Equinox, and it's an '09, and they want $11,000. Now, you, at that point in time, and you'll do that with several other vehicles, like you would come over to this Sorento. This is a 2013, and they want, $12,000 or, $14,000. Whatever. You can kind of get a feel for, what you're getting for, this Ford versus a Chevy, and you may be able to get a larger car. Like, say you really need a larger car like this one, but your price range, might be $12,000, and so you may have to get an older vehicle to get the size you need, because on a, newer model that's like 5 years or under, you're not going to be able to get the size that you want for $12,000. So those are little conclusions and things that you can kind of come to, and it would probably take you going more than one dealership, and maybe several in your actual area. It may not even be in the city limits, or it may not be in the city limits. So for instance, I'm in Tulsa, so I may say I live in Tulsa, and right now I'm in Broken Arrow, actually, but I might go to Broken Arrow, I might go to Bixby, I might go to a dealership in Glenpool. I may even go as far as Oklahoma City, which is like an hour and 45 minutes away, which is completely worth it if you're going to get a vehicle you're driving for the next 5 to 10 years, or you're taking your family around in, you're getting into the vehicle every day. Traveling, it's not going to be an issue. And at least that distance, you may not want to go 3.5 hours because, logistical reasons, whatever. You just don't have the means to get there. You don't want to hassle with that. I probably, being in Tulsa, wouldn't go further than OKC. But I know people who have. They travel. You can fly to a different town. If you have the money and there's a vehicle you specifically want, like say you want a wagon like this car, this BMW, and let's just say I lived in Joplin, which is an hour and 45 minutes. Let's say I lived in Little Rock, which is several hours away. If I was looking for this kind of vehicle, I might come here to purchase it. Just because you don't see too many of these around, you're not going to find one of these in every town, especially earlier than a 2010. But one point that I will make, that I kind of pointed out, I'll elaborate on in my the last dealership I was at, cars like this. So this is a BMW, and my dad, and again, I'm going to make a video about, the kind of things we talked about when buying cars growing up, just, over the course of, having a father-son relationship. But anyway, was one of the things, he didn't say this, but somebody else mentioned this when I was growing up. They were like, I would not buy a car from a dealer that doesn't sell that brand of cars. So obviously this dealership sells Kias, and they sell GMC trucks, and then they have an import side, which is going to be mainly used vehicles. Now, like I said, they do have another branch where I think they may sell Fords or Chevys, but I don't think they have like a high-end or a luxury branch. I would feel comfortable buying a car from this dealership because it's a, you know, obviously you want to do your research, look at reviews online. This is a pretty reputable dealership in town, and just because they don't sell this type of car doesn't mean that, you know, they're not going to know if it's falling apart or things like that. Most cases, most all cases, dealerships like this are not going to keep old, really beat up cars on the lot. Like, you're not going to probably see another 06 car in this lot, but because this is a Mercedes 530 Xi, which means it has four-wheel drive, that's what that X designation means. They're going to keep this one because it is a nice car, you know. And let's see how many miles it has on it. Let's see here. It has 82,000 miles, and so, but again, it's a BMW. Like I said, all-wheel drive. I knew that before I looked at the tag. But anyway, they're not going to hold on to a junk car. Cars that have over 100,000 miles that are 06, or excuse the wind, they're going to send to auction. Like I said earlier, dealerships are holding on to stock more, whereas they would send more cars to auction. You know, now they're holding on to some of them. You typically would not see a car like this. This is kind of a Tulsa, Northeast Oklahoma niche where trucks, raised vehicles are more desirable. Somebody's going to come and buy that truck. Usually you wouldn't see anything that old at a dealership. And in this situation, they probably will not hold on to it very long. They're going to give it a try, but they'll probably move it to an auction because a dealership space is money, you know. So they may give a try on an unconventionally older or unique vehicle, but they're going to send those to auctions a lot faster, or move those off their lot a lot faster. Okay guys, I'm going to go ahead and do a voiceover here just because the wind got a little wild on me. I was just using the Chevy Cruze and the Toyota Prius as an example of how coming to a dealership will kind of help you get a better feel for vehicles, because when you mention both of these models, a lot of people automatically assume compact vehicles. But I would say the Chevy Cruze is more of an intermediate vehicle, and seeing it side by side with a Prius, it kind of gives you an idea of what a compact car truly is, and then what an intermediate vehicle is as well. And another thing that I kind of pointed out was that if I'm looking at both of these cars, and you know, they're both a similar price point, and the Chevy Cruze is getting about 35 miles a gallon, you know, on the highway, and the Prius is getting maybe 38 miles a gallon on the highway. Brand loyalty aside, I might just go with the Chevy Cruze just because it does offer a lot more space than the Toyota Prius, you know, with comparable fuel economy. I mean, who's really going to miss the difference in 3 mpg? So that's all I was trying to say here, and the wind was really trying to have its way when I was making my point. So back to the video. Slightly larger vehicle for 3 mpg. I'm not saying that's the case. I don't know the hard numbers on those vehicles, but that's the kind of thing you're trying to get a feel for when you're at a dealership. You know, what am I getting for my money as far as fuel economy, space, footprint, you know. I'll make a last point with this car. So these little Mini Coopers, this is like a subsidiary or a division of BMW. So these are kind of expensive for their size. So this car may be like $20,000, and you see its size, and it's relatively small, but it's sportier, you know, than the Prius. But the cost of ownership is going to be higher. Your initial cost is going to be higher. I could easily see this car being $20,000, something like that. I don't know how old it is. I could be grossly off on that. And I probably am. That's an 09. But anyway, this car could be, you know, $17,000 versus this one, which would be $13,000. and that's an '09, and this car is a 2013. And I guess I'll make one final point. So this is an RX. What is this? This is an RX 350. Now, my impression of this vehicle was that it was a bit smaller. It looks a bit wider in person to me. So part of that is these flares on the side here, but it just gives you a feel of, you know, I thought this car would probably be closer to that Jeep size, but it's not. You know, from the front, it is a bit wider. And you know, the height kind of looks a little lower than I thought. So, okay, guys, I'm going to end it here. And just the final point that I was making is that your impressions of a vehicle from what you've seen online and seen in passing may be inaccurate. And, you know, coming to a dealership, as I pointed out with that RX 350, kind of helps calibrate your expectations and make sure they're realistic. You know, I thought that vehicle was a lot smaller, and obviously I was wrong. So that's something that, you know, you could only see, or you can only get a feel of by coming to a dealership. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I want to thank everyone for watching, and I hope you had a great weekend. I'll see you in the next one.